Hi, thanks for joining us at Feltalala today. We're here on the back porch. I hope you can hear the birds singing. And we're going to be spending some time with Beatrix Potter today. This is our Peter Rabbit. You can order the base kit or for the base that he's standing on, or not, or just the rabbit himself. And here's little Peter with his little blue coat. And we have some other characters watching on. We have Tabitha Twitchit with her little umbrella and her basket. And we have Mrs. Tittlemouse with her lovely dress with all the nice little details in it, doing the clothing for these characters and for my Regency characters from Jane Austen. It's one of my favorite things. But today it's going to be Peter Rabbit. And he's a medium skill level. A beginner would probably succeed with him as well. So what do you have in your kit? You have a couple of needles, the basic one that is maybe good for when you're doing things more forcefully, and then a second needle for the more delicate work, a slightly more delicate needle. This is the silicone sponge that I have sent you to use as your base for stabbing. I myself use a wool buddy. As you get more into felting and you want to spend more time with it, you might want to invest in a wool buddy. I love mine. We have white. The white is a core white. You can see it's got some debris in it. I'll have taken a lot of that debris out for you. But if you do come across it, you just pick it out, because it comes from sheep. But this core wool, I prefer it for felting projects. You can see that it's very short. It comes apart really easily, and the fibers haven't been like with roving. The fibers are lined up more, and it makes them more difficult to felt. These tangle together much more easily. And in case you're brand new to it, how does felting work? Your needle has barbs on the end of it, just these tiny little barbs. And so does the wool have tiny little barbs. And when we plunge the needle, stab, tap, you only need to go as far as the barbs. So there's lots of folks talk about the stabbing, but really it's a gentle tapping. So when you do your gentle tapping, you grab with the needle barbs, you grab the barbs to the wool, and you just create more entanglement. And as those fibers tangle, you're able to really create sculptures with them, or to paint with them, or just do any number of things with them, which is wonderful. So you have your white core, you have some fawn. Did you see he's white? And we do have the roving so that his chest here, his front can be fluffy. So there's a little bit of roving for that. The blue for his coat. I like his coat to turn up a bit. It's a little turned up coat. A little gold for the buttons. Black for the eye, for around the nose and his tiny little expressive mouth. A little pink for the ears. And there's more white inside the ears. And like I say, if you like the base, you can order the base separately. And that's a white brown, mossy green, because he's standing on a mossy knoll. So here we go with Peter Rabbit. So the first thing, to do this core, this centerpiece, he is about, let's see, tip to toe, he's about 4.5 inches. So we want a 4.5 inch core piece that's going to be his body and his head, and really the structure behind the entire sculpture. So I'm going to go, I think this is probably too much, but so when I start out here, I have got starting at about 3 inches, and as we roll it, it gets bigger. So next thing you need is a skewer. when you're doing the tubular shapes, and really we've got tubes, balls, circles, elliptical shapes, and we can combine those shapes to make anything. I think if it exists, you can felt it. You can create it in felt. So. When we're making a tubular shape, the skewer comes in really handy. So we just roll that center. We're going to roll the wool around the skewer and then lock that in. When you're felting, you don't want to break your needle. The two things you don't want to do is break your needle and stab yourself. I did a lot of both at the beginning, but I rarely do either now. So we're wanting to stab the wool in next to the skewer. Don't stab the skewer because you're going to break your needle. It's just this little stab, stab, tap, tap, just to lock that in, because we want our roll here to be nice and tight to give structure to our Peter Rabbit. And so when you're tapping it in, the fibers are going to lock into the wool buddy or to your sponge as well. So what you do there is you just keep lifting it. See how those had actually been stabbed into the mat. But you just lift it up. Just keep lifting as you go. And that will take care of that. So then I roll a little bit more. Stab a little bit more. Just keep that tight. Now I am going to want this to be a little bit larger. I'm going to pull this out a little bit longer. I didn't want 3, right? I want 4.5. So I'm still at 3. I'm going to open this up a bit. And I'm going to twist, twist, twist. And lock. Twist and lock. See how that quickly brought us up to almost 4 inches. So now I lift it up. See how it's stuck? See how it all attached? And then twist, 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 and then lock. We're going to want this base to our sculpture to be nice and firm. So I'm just twisting this up. You see what I mean? How it keeps getting longer. So now I'm at over 6 inches, which is far more than I want. So I'll push that in a bit. Well, let's see how wide he is at the cheek. That's about 1.5 inches. About 1.5 inches. And yeah, I'm going to say there's 1.5 inches core piece that we then build on. So about 1.5 inches is what we want here for width. Then we pull this out. We've got a nice base to start with. And you're really, in the end, going to see very little of this because there's going to be fawn details over it in the hat and the hips. There's the blue jacket, the adorable blue jacket. And then there's the fluffy white that is his front. So I want to felt this in a bit more. I want to make it a little more firm. Just by tap, 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 tap. Tapping and rolling. So these curves, you have seen millions of curves in your life. Your brain knows how to do that, so you don't have to overthink it. Just if you keep moving it and tapping it, you'll create the curve that you want. And you want this to be fairly firm so that you can build the other pieces on it. And let's check our height at this point. We said 4.5, I think. We did. 4.5, 4 3/4. So we're going to felt in a bit of this top and bottom. His little feet are going to come out of this bottom part. I don't give him floppy rabbit feet. You can if you want to, but I give him these cute little toes. See? These cute little toes that come out. I just think they're adorable. Okay. So we mentioned the needles as a tool, but another very important tool that we use is our hands. So I'm going to use my hands now to roll it a bit, and the friction of your hands in felting and in shaping is really a big part of it. This is looking pretty good. Yep, that's pretty much where I want it. 4.5, 4 3/4, 4 3/4. All right. So now the length of his head is. His body's not 2, so that's 3. Yeah. It's about 1.5. Maybe 1 3/4. So about 3 there. 1, 2, 3 there. Okay. So I'm going to measure 3 inches from the bottom. Yeah. Going to measure 3 inches from the bottom. And then we want a line around here at the 3-inch mark to create a neck. If you don't have a ruler, it doesn't have to be exact. You can just pick a spot, go this far up for the head. So that's about 1/3, a little more than 1/3. So I come all the way around. And that's going to separate the head from the body. And I want cheeks. I want chubby cheeks. We can build some of them up, but we can start working towards some chubby cheeks right now as we create that neck. And he's going to have a collar. And the collar is going to, part of what that does is accentuate the neck. I want to go in and out with the needle, right? Straight. I can't turn it once it's in, because that's going to break it, right? You can't bend the needle. However, going in and out straight doesn't always have to be completely vertical. You can do that on a horizontal, and you can do it on a diagonal. And diagonal is a good choice here because, right, we're creating those cheeks and that neck. So a diagonal is a really good choice now at this point. Now I think is a really good time to get some hands involved to create some cheeks. Right? So you can see how that's beginning. You see how we have a head and then we have some cheeks. Of the top is a head. Now we're getting a nice neck there. So let's dare to compare. Very similar. And as you're working on them now, you're going to start to get an idea of which side you like the best, which is going to be your front. So I like this here for the width of his cheeks. You see on this side, I don't have that same width. So this is looking more like a side to me. And this, I think, will be the back. Yes, and I like this for the front. So felting is a slow craft. It's meditative. The point, of course, is making beautiful things, because with felting you can make beautiful things, and sweet things and things that bring you joy. But it's also the process. So just this gentle tapping, tap, 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 tap. The feel of the wool under your hands. You can feel the lanolin. You can smell the lanolin. And it's just extremely calming and restorative. And I invite you to just be in the moment with it and take your time. Take your time on this core structure piece, making sure you've got it where you want it so that it's reasonably firm and smooth. And with those cheeks, we can decide to build them up if we want them. If we want them to be a little more cheeky. And I think I do. I think I do want them to be a little more cheeky. So I'm just going to take a small amount of wool and add a little more cheek to my cheeky boy. This was my front. Go around like this. And just add a little amount at a time and build it up. And in this way we can create anything really that we want. In this case, what I want are more cheeks. Do you see how that's different than what we had before? How you've got more cheek there? And you decide, just keep building on until you have the level of cheeky that you want. Okay. Feeling pretty good about this as our base.